Today I want to show you something that until a couple of months ago I'd never done before, and that is having one of my images printed and framed, and ultimately how it made me a better photographer. Hi, my name's Joe from Joe Films. It's great to be with you today. If you're already a subscriber, welcome back. If you're new, consider clicking that subscribe button. It's free and it means that we can be friends forevermore. Cool. So my interest in cameras and photography started around the age of about 14 or so, when I would use my parents' little point and shoot when we were on holiday or vacation for our American friends. And it wasn't until a few years later when I would get my own camera. And my first camera was actually a little Sony Handycam video camera. I think it shot 1080i, so that's interlaced video. And I was just starting to get into editing and all that kind of stuff, and it kind of confused the heck out of me. I was like, why is my image blurry and covered in lines? Nevertheless, it was a start and it got me into videography. It obviously wasn't a photo camera, but I think it could take 4 megapixel stills, which looked like trash. But then I got this. A Panasonic FZ100. Now this thing could shoot 1080p at 60 frames a second and was actually one of the first in Panasonic's consumer line to do so. And they sure did let you know about it. Full HD. It also has a 24 times optical zoom lens, which is the full frame equivalent of 25 to 600 millimeter lens, which is pretty insane. I'd really love to turn it on, but I've lost the charger for the battery, but it's in really good condition. But this camera was my first hybrid camera, and I could shoot great 14 megapixel stills and great video quality at the time. It fed my passion for both photography and videography, and all subsequent camera upgrades down the road would follow this kind of same recipe. A stills camera, but probably more widely regarded for bringing great video quality to us, your average consumer, the beginner enthusiast, or the budding professional who didn't have thousands and thousands to spend on a great big video camera like a Canon XF305 or something similar. And you could take great photos with it. I'm talking 550D, 5D Mark III, you get the vibe. This was until I got my GH5. As a freelance videographer, I wanted to provide the highest quality I could while keeping the cost of the system as low as possible. But sadly, as many of us GH5 owners will know all too well, that camera really wasn't regarded for its photographic quality. But that micro four thirds sensor made it a complete video beast, and an affordable one too. All I had to sacrifice was having a photo camera, which I was totally fine with at the time, and I was very happy shooting videos with my beloved Panny. But a couple of years passed, and I inevitably started to develop that photo itch. I really wanted something compact that would produce a gorgeous image for a relatively low price, and I ended up buying a Fujifilm X-T3. Now by this time I'd developed a pretty decent collection of Canon L-series glass, but I wanted something that would keep the X-T3 nice and small. So I also got a Fuji 23mm f2 lens to go with it. A couple of months later, I was in Los Angeles shooting an unboxing video for Beats, and I brought my good friend Dan to help me with the shoot. It was a 3-camera setup. I had my GH5, my X-T3, and Dan's Sony a7 III. The shoot itself took all of 2.5 hours, and we were actually in LA for just about 2 days, but we managed to get out on a little photo adventure with the help of some electric scooters. And we made our way around the surrounding suburban streets. This was literally the best feeling on the planet. Bombing around with your buddy, taking photos, the kind of anxiety of traveling and making sure you've remembered everything, that had all gone. It was just us on our scooters with our cameras over our shoulders, and that LA December sunlight, which always has this kind of magical quality. I really don't know what it is. It just is. Now, being LA, of course, there were cool cars everywhere, and I was particularly interested in the kind of muscle cars, pickup trucks, all the kind of rare stuff that we don't see here in the UK too often. I started snapping pictures of these cars that we'd come across on the streets, in driveways, and I had this idea to photograph them all in the same way, from low down, almost road level, from directly side on, portrait, kind of like a mugshot. So from our little scooter adventure, I ended up with about 10 images of cars that caught my attention. Out of these, I made a little Instagram story series called Retro Cars LA Edition. It was just a little bit of fun. One of the cars I captured was this mid to late 60s El Camino. But as you'll notice, the sun wasn't really in an ideal position, the car was heavily backlit, and a part of the sky is blown out. I don't really dislike the image, it has something to it, I like it. But I moved around to the front of the car because I thought it looked very cool. Just a classic American muscle car, 4 great big round headlights, a big old shiny grille, and just lots of chrome. And that's when I took this. I ended up using the image as the front page of the Instagram story series with the title on it. I think I actually photoshopped out the electricity pylons and stuff just to clean it up a little bit, but I really loved it. I think I had it as my iPad background for a while, my phone background. I just really enjoyed looking at it. For me, I mean, it's a dope car, but it's more than that. It's the feeling I had after the shoot with Dan, bombing around on our scooters without a care in the world, taking photos and just having fun. And this photo is the exact moment in time that I can pinpoint where my passion for photography was reignited. It wasn't a job, I wasn't working, I was relaxing and had no pressure to take any photos at all, but I had my camera with me in the event that I was inspired. Dan was actually taking photos with his dad's old Canon A1 film camera. We were being very hipster. Now this was all at the end of 2019, and we all know how 2020 turned out. But last year allowed me to explore my photography and develop my own style. And I often felt in the past that I've emulated, people I've seen on Instagram or follow here on YouTube, which is I think what a lot of hobbyist photographers do. And it's a great way to learn and develop your own style. But I felt like I was a little bit beyond that, and I wanted to create images that had their own identity, my identity. Another problem I had was that I would just throw my images up on Instagram, and that was that. I would never really do anything else with them. But it wasn't really until I had this printed that I realized the potential of my own work. It wasn't until I got that through in the mail that I realized firstly some flaws with it, overly sharpened, a little bit too much of the old clarity slider, and just too much of everything in general. I think that's what Instagram does to you. The images are so small, you tend to massively over-edit them to try and stand out on a screen that's kind of this big. Whereas with prints, every last detail is on show in all its glory. And the biggest thing that's changed my photography after seeing this print is color. As you can see from this, I've pretty much stripped this image of most of its color. And I do think it kind of works for this particular photo, but when I first looked at it when I got it through the mail, I was kind of struck by how almost black and white it is. It just has this kind of cool blue washed out tone. And I didn't add that, it's just a byproduct of stripping every other color out. And it's also quite flat in contrast, and that's what you get when you edit on a computer screen. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I love this image for the memories that it brings back to me, but also because it gave me an appreciation of a sympathetic edit. That is to say, keeping the image true to life and what made me take the photo in the first place, and not crushing it for the sole purpose to gain someone's attention as they scroll past it on their phones, maybe to double tap, and then just to keep scrolling. I hope this video has motivated you to grab your camera and get out there and shoot some images. Sometimes it can be hard to find motivation, especially in times such as we're in right now, but it's important to keep developing, practicing and learning, and it's always fun to look back at where you came from. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you could give it a thumbs up, and feel free to subscribe and ring that little bell to be notified when I post more videos like this. And if you liked my print, I'll leave a link to my store below where you can buy it and also check out some of my other images. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, but until then, take care, be a good human, and get out there and take some photos. Bye.